Hey everybody, it's the Salty Pug Lord. How y'all been doing? I'm sorry about the delay in this video. There was a problem, we'll get to that in just a second, but I want to sum up what's going to happen in this video today. In this video today, we are going to cheat. Yep, you heard me right, we're going to cheat. And I think it's important to explain why we're going to cheat, because I don't normally cheat in games, even in single-player ones. So let's go to the Steam page for Empyrion. From about July 2nd to about July 7th, there was a bug in Empyrion. And you can see it right here, fixed. When spawning in some blueprints, they lose their device list and signal setup. That is exactly what happened to the alpaca. The signal logic to open the back door, the signal logic to turn off the thrusters and RCS, some of the features that I'm most proud of that the alpaca has, did not work because of this problem with Empyrion. Worse yet, I didn't know that those problems existed when I spawned in the alpaca blueprint after finishing the salvage of the MS Titans at the end of the last episode. So I spawned in what should have been a perfectly working alpaca, but because Empyrion Studios doesn't know what test-driven design or regression testing is, something that anybody who has a degree in software engineering could have told them about quite easily, I got screwed over. And this is always a danger when you're playing an alpha game or using any piece of alpha software. Alpha means it's probably screwed up, and we just don't know all the ways that it's screwed up yet. And this brings us back to why I'm going to cheat. When you're playing an alpha game or using an alpha piece of software and that bugs in that alpha piece of software screw you over, I believe at that point you become justified in cheating to fix the mistake that other people made. And that's exactly what I've done here. I have destroyed, using a console command, I destroyed the alpaca that was spawned incorrectly because of Elyon's inability to regression test their code. In addition to that, I also cheated by doing this, hitting the tilde key, typing the command IM to give myself access to the creative menu, and then I backed out and I hit H. This is the creative menu where you can grab as much of anything that you want, whatever it may be. There's pages and pages of stuff here, all full of everything that you could possibly ever want. So I used this menu to just give myself all the sathium, cobalt, iron, copper, all the stuff I needed, and I dumped it into the factory. And I got myself all the resources I need to spawn another alpaca now that the bug has been fixed. As you can see, there's still 16 minutes waiting on this blueprint, and that's time that I've been screwed out of because of Elyon's mistake. So we're going to cheat again. We're going to hit tilde to bring up the console, and we're going to type finish BP. This finishes all blueprints that are currently being made or in the process of being produced. As you can see, under the completed thing up here, we now have a completed alpaca that we can spawn in, and the signal logic will work the way it was intended. Let's go spawn this in like I promised we would do, and I was prevented from doing because Empyrion Studios doesn't know what a unit test is. And unlike last time, when I walk up to the back of this one, oh! The ramps actually roll down! My god! I don't know if I brought along any fuel. Let's see if I did. I did? Let's put a little fuel in the sky. Glad I saved some of these. That was a really lucky find way back at the very first POI I ever raided. Dump a couple of these in here. Looks like those are about 4% fuel. That should last me a while. turn off the flight systems just to save a little fuel there. And hit Y to turn on the power. Very good. And it all works! Hooray! Now, I sound a little sour about Empyrion Studios, but the truth is, they did fix their bug pretty quick. I think it was discovered on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and it was fixed by Monday. So, well done, Empyrion. Also, in order to fix the problem we had last time with plastic raw material, I went ahead and put the grow plots in here because you'll be able to salvage at least 33, well, at least 33 total grow plots out of the mid part of the wrecked Titan. Oh, and by the way, another problem with the previous blueprint spawn, when you flick the sunlight switch, the grow lights didn't turn on, because that was part of the whole control panel and signals being scrambled bug that Empyrion had to deal with. Alright, so, we finally have our alpaca. We can get off this little rock, go to other places, and we're not done cheating yet. Let me load up my HV and all the cargo that I want to bring with me, and I can show you some more cheating that I like to do in this game. So I just took everything that was in my little base's box here, and using the remote logistics system, which you can access by hitting F4, I just shoved it all into the alpaca's container controller storage. In addition, I've brought my HV on board and parked it here, so we're all set. And we can get up into space with all of our stuff and try and have some new adventures. Now, there probably is one thing you would normally want to do before going into space, which is getting some oxygen into this thing. Right now, the oxygen tanks are empty, and you can actually use several different ways to get oxygen. You can put down a water collector in the water and have your constructor split the water, or you can use this water O2 condenser to make small amounts of oxygen. I'm not going to do any of that. What I am going to do, though, is change my armor. Or at least I'm going to put on a... at least going to put on an EVA boost, which will keep me warm and a little bit radiation protected from the cold and the radiation out in space. Never mind, I'm not gonna, because I don't have an EVA boost. So, fuck it. I'll just put an oxygen tank boost in my armor, and breathe out of my suit's oxygen, and not worry about anything else. Ugh. Turn on flight systems, because otherwise the thrusters and RCS are off. And we will just go pretty much straight up. The thing you want to look at over there on the right is that orbit thing. When you get to 0 meters, you are in orbit. It says turn on your oxygen, so I'm going to hit U to put my helmet on. Now, it's worth saying at this point that solar system or space up is not the same as planetary up. So once you get into space and you break atmo, you probably are going to want to hold down the O key in order to reorient your ship to a point where you're actually on level with solar system level or outer space level. There we go. We're level, and I can see some little stuff around. See a little red spot out there. It's probably something good in this asteroid belt too, but right now I'm a little bit more interested in something else, and this is where we get back to the cheating. If we take a look at the solar system map, or the planetary orbit map, you can see there's a lot of space out here. And right now the detector that we have, in fact the detectors in the game, are only good to 2 kilometers. So if we wanted to try and search all this space, I think Lift Pizzas, who's a YouTuber who does a lot of Empyrion content, has calculated that it would take 10 hours to fly a proper search grid to find everything in here with a 2 kilometer wide scanning radius. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cheat. And the reason I'm going to cheat is because I believe that there should be something in the game called an orbital space scanner, or a planetary orbit scanner, that would be a device you would have to put on a base, so you would have to build a space station. That's how it would be balanced. That over time would find everything out in this orbital area. It would be a probabilistic thing. Things that were further away would take longer on average to find because the probability would be lower, but eventually, if you kept your space station up and you kept the scanner powered, it would eventually find everything in the orbit. Right now, the only way to do that is to fly a ridiculous search pattern for a ridiculous amount of time, so we're going to cheat. Tilde to bring up the console, and we're going to type map. And it says, showing all map objects, use map hide to hide them again. Now we can see everything that's out in the orbit here. We can see a bunch of asteroids, including a cobalt asteroid, a promethium asteroid. We can see a derelict ship. We can see a Polaris carrier ship. And we can see a Polaris trading station out here. I'm going to go ahead and right-click that. We'll add a waypoint and call that a home. And accept. And this is where we're headed, my friends. It's about 5 kilometers away, and since there's no friction in space, you can hit the I key to turn off your braking thrusters. If you look in the lower right, you'll see the brake bar cruise. Suddenly the on turns to an off. Now you just hold down your forward key until you're going about 90 meters per second, and let it go, and you will just drift the rest of the way with no power usage. I'll cut you guys back in when we get there. I'm going to turn the brakes back on about 1 kilometer away, just to sort of brake myself so I don't collide with the trading station. And brakes. That was the I key to turn on the brakes. It looks like I slowed down a little too early. We could have slowed down a little later. Huh. Is this station not aligned with galactic level, or is it me? It's me. Okay. Let's see here. I think, in the interest of not freezing to death when I spacewalk from the Alpaca to the space station, I'm going to line up the bay door of the Alpaca with the back here. We'll just slowly back in here. Feel the landing gear hit. Alright, I think that's about as good as it's going to get. Let's turn off flight systems to save power. And we'll go inside the space station. Because there's no gravity generator in here, I had to hit J to turn on my jetpack. Oh well. Fortunately, we're within the station's artificial gravity now, so it looks like there's gravity, but if you were to pull out of the pilot seat in the middle of space, you'd just be floating in here. You'd have to turn your jetpack on. Alright, I've got oxygen in my suit, as attested by the 405 number in the lower left. I've got my helmet up. Let's walk on into the station and see what we can see. Probably going to get cold even on this short walk because I don't have an EVA boost. Nice. Here we are in the trade station. I can turn my helmet off. And as I recall, there's a free oxygen station upstairs. There we go. Care Bear Tears and Smell of Victory. Snowy Mountaintop and Air of Superiority. Oh yeah, this one's me. Alright, full O2. So, several good vendors you should know about in this POI. Aunt Mary's Gardening and Supplies has pretty much every kind of plant you could ever want to plant, and most of them are incredibly cheap. So, by all means, feel free to buy plants and plant them in your CV. If you have an alpaca, you now have 14 grow plots. You only need 9 of them to grow the ingredients for ration packs. So, feel free to buy some medicinal plants and plant those too. Over here we have MA Corp Mining and Tech. This guy sells a lot of wonderful stuff, including alloys like neodymium that maybe you can't get any other way. Also, if you want promethium pellets because you never found promethium or some better armor, it's certainly expensive, but you can still get some, I think. Let's go upstairs. We have Servant Corp. You can actually buy other stuff from these guys, and sometimes the prices here are better or worse than prices somewhere else. You can sometimes do some arbitrage, where you buy lower cost stuff here and sell it for a higher price somewhere else. Last but not least, I think we should head down and find the weapons trader. Now, the weapons trader is a little bit harder to find because he doesn't have a counter, but if you know where to look, you'll find him no problem. You have the medical pavilion over there, and then opposite on the other side you have the conference room. And here you go. You got a guy who's standing up. He's got the silly hat. Must be a trader. There's a sign back here that says Interwep. And here you go. This guy's a weapons trader. He's got a lot of different weapons. And when you're looking at this, don't just look at what he's selling, but also look at what he's buying and for how much. For instance, it looks like Tier 2 sniper rifles, he wants to buy 2 of them for 10,000 or 11,000 apiece. So if you wanted to sell him some stuff, maybe you want to start by selling him that. Another thing, perhaps, is rocket launchers. He wants to buy 3 rocket launchers for 7,000 apiece. So if you either have spare weapons that you don't need, or if the large constructor in the alpaca can manufacture this stuff for you, I'd say this is a pretty easy way to get yourself some easy money that you could then use to buy other things. Alright, that's about all I wanted to cover. I think we'll go maybe do a little space mining just to show you what that looks like. And then I will probably just say goodbye and end the tutorial. Better put my helmet back up before I step through the force field. Now, you remember when I cheated, I found a promethium asteroid right here? I think I'd like to go over and mine some promethium. And so let's go ahead and right-click on that. We'll put down a mineral marker and a map waypoint so we can see it on our normal screen. Okay. And gotta turn on flight systems. Where, oh where, is my asteroid? Promethium asteroid, there she is. I suppose you could have flown above or below this whole ring all the way around the planet. Probably discovered this. It would have been within 2 kilometers of your scanning distance, but as I said, I believe that Elion really needs to make a planetary orbital scanner. Not every place has a convenient asteroid belt where all the asteroids are concentrated. Sometimes the asteroids are scattered all across the entire map with no way to even see them until you get within 3 kilometers. Okay, there's the Silicon Asteroid and the Promethium Asteroid. Isn't that pretty? Once again, I'm going to pull the same trick. I'm going to put the tail of the alpaca right up against this guy. Might as well do this on the sunny side of the asteroid. Not that big a deal, but why not? It's backing up nice and slow just till we touch it. Okay, I think we're touching, so I don't think it will go back any further. There we go. Alright. Now, because we are in space and outside of any gravity generator field, I do have to hit J to turn my jetpack on before I come out of the cockpit. If I didn't have my jetpack on, I wouldn't be able to move around in here. My jetpack is the only thing allowing me to move. If I were to just turn off the jetpack, then I would just float here in empty space. Hitting my WASD keys, I'm going nowhere, because I'm in 0G, and I have nothing to push off on, so turn on your jetpack. Okay. I think I'm going to turn off flight systems just to save power. And let's get out the drill. Resource drill. And let's take a look at this Promethium asteroid. Oh my! That is certainly a lot of Promethium. Well, let's start digging in, see how much Promethium we get. Now, I could go out there, but I'm low on oxygen, and there's actually a better way. Just hit F5 to pop out your drone. And as long as you're holding your drill in your hand, you'll be able to drone mine this stuff just as easily as you drone mine down on the planet. Alright. I think that should be good enough for now. There's plenty more Promethium on that asteroid. I only ate away a little bit of it, but just wanted to show you guys how to drone mine in space. So let's see, how much Promethium did I actually get? F4, and looks like I got 182 Promethium ore. Just for about a minute's work there. That's pretty good, I'm pretty happy with that. Alright. Let's go back to the cockpit, and we can wrap up. So, If you've been following this series of videos, you now have a perfectly good HV to get you around on planets. You have a CV that will get you around and keep you fed to get from planet to planet. Obviously, if you go to the map and you click on the planet, you'll see there's a lot more planets that you can go to here. Some might be super hot, some might be super cold, and frankly, I think there's probably more planets in this system, and I would just have to get some pentaxid and fill up my warp tanks and go check them out. So certainly that's a great thing to do, is go to other planets and get rarer resources like Erestrium and Zascosium, which you're going to need to build better weapons and better ships. And speaking of better weapons and better ships, I think probably my next goal in the game, after, tooling around and exploring things a little bit, would probably be to get myself a decent fighter SV so I could go and put the hurt down on POIs from a flying vessel. I've been watching a guy called PowerMad1 on Twitch. He's a guy who doesn't always play Empyrion, but he's been playing it recently. And he's been bringing in ships on stream and checking them out. One that he checked out caught my eye, so I took a closer look at it. It's called the Hornet Mark II, and this is not a ship that I made. This is a ship that someone else made, and I just kind of changed up the weaponry a little bit. It only had 4 Gatlings. I put 6 on it. It had homing rocket launchers. I prefer dumbfire rocket launchers. It also did not come with a shield. Now, shields are a new thing in 10, so I decided that I was going to modify this guy and put in a shield, and I did. And let me show you on the Steam Workshop what this looks like. So here is the Hornet Mark II rearmed. As I said, this is a trivial remix of Badger's Hornet Mark II. And here's a little bit more info about the changes that I made, and some glamour shots, and of course the blueprint shot to tell you what you need. A quick note, there are 8 Erestrium and 8 Zascosium ingots in a power coil, so if you raid a POI and you get 1 power coil, that will get you all the rare materials that you need. Sathium you can just get by putting hardened steel into the factory, just salvage hardened steel blocks from the Titan Rex. Neo is going to be a problem for you, and perhaps Cobalt as well, but notice that this is only 100 and 200. Do you remember back at the Trader MA Corp on the space station? They were selling Neo and Cobalt. So I think if you sell them some guns, they might sell you some Cobalt and Neo. Probably enough for you can make this blueprint. Cool. So yeah, I guess that's about it. I guess that is about all I would tell you about Empyrion Galactic Survival. I think at this point, you've got way more than a great tool set. You have the ability to find your own adventures, find some other planets, grab some rare materials, spawn a lot more blueprints off the Steam Workshop to play with. If nothing else, maybe you just want to go visit the moon of whatever planet you spawned on. There's a whole moon over here, and it's quite a few POIs on that one if you conquer all the POIs on your starter planet. Not to mention, of course, all the other planets and all the other interesting things that are in space around those planets. So yeah, I think you're in pretty good shape now, and I hope you have a lot of fun with this game. It's not perfect. Sometimes bad things happen and you have to cheat to restore balance. But I'm certainly having a lot of fun with this game. I hope you do too. And I would like you to stay salty, my friends.